I
If your glory wants to come, let it fall. We want it all. Your fire is consuming. Fill this place, set it ablaze, and now we are living sacrifice for you. Glorified, glorified. I wanna be
Well, good evening, kings and queens. Shanetta Malk here with Empowerment Essence, founding president and executive director. Now, who will be calling at a time like this? We just getting started this evening. Great evening and welcome to the Why. Mental Health Just for Me, the Youth Edition. So excited to be here with you tonight. And of course, I'm joined by my queen. Yes, indeed, my sister, Angela C. Green of Angela C. Green Ministries. And tonight, we are so excited to join you. The song you just heard us playing tonight was a song that was put on Angela's heart. And I'm going to let Angela tell you a little bit more about that song. Queen, happy Friday. Happy Juneteenth, first
Come
of all.
on. Yes.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's celebrate because, I am big on themes. I'm big on the word of God and what God is saying to us every single month. And June is that month of sweet victory. And God gave me that word at the very end of May. And he said, it's a sweet victory happening for many of us in the month of June. So it's time to celebrate. All of what we've been doing in our life, has not been in vain. Many of us that are leaders and we are advocates and we are, hope dealers, we push this thing called hope and love. It's not an easy task, and it requires us to be refined. It requires us to be refined by the fire of God, that we have to be tested. We have to be purified over and over and over again. And to the outside, it looks like we are being beaten up. To the outside, it looks like we are going through hell and we are losing. But I'm here to serve notice on the devil tonight.
Let's go.
Come on, that we serve an undisputed champion, and his name is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So we never lose. Okay, we only get better. And so that song is all about refining. It's all about the refiner's fire. It's all about taking the things sometimes that we are thrown, like people throw things at us, accusations, slander, hate, all that shade, the things that we don't have time for. And because we are so full of his power and his fire, it's consumed by God's fire, okay, that is on our life. Like, if you didn't know, now you know. We are anointed. We are called to do what we are called to do. Like, we are here not just because, we are not here not by happenstance, but we are here because this is what our God has called us to do. This is part of our life purpose. I'm in my lane, like we in our lane, okay? So we are doing what God has called us to do, and that song speaks directly to the very things that maybe seem like it's defeating us, but it's coming to make us better. And God in our life, God guiding us and bringing us to places, that refiner's fire is going to consume everything that is not of God, that tries to take us out. And as long as we stay in that place and go through that moment of refining and chastising, we're going to be better. We're going to come out as pure gold. That shine is going to be legit. It's going to be real legit. So that song, I listen to that song literally every single day because it's just a humbling song of worship and honesty. That's why we're doing what we're doing even tonight. We're trying to bring a level of integrity and honesty to a much needed, conversation and topic. So, that's why I'm here. This is what I do. This is what we do, Amen. I'm just excited.
You know what? And that's why I love her. The anointing on your life, Queen, is just fire. And so I am excited tonight. So tonight we are dealing with mental health just for me. This is the youth edition. So what I want you to do right now, I want you to visit the Empowerment Essence page. If you have not registered for the event tonight, click on Facebook, click on the Empowerment Essence page, share the video, tag a youth, tag a family member, and join us tonight for this conversation. What we are excited to do is talk to you tonight about some of the things that affects the youth mental health. Some of the things that our youth are going through that they don't get a chance to talk to you about because they're frightened, because they're not taken seriously, because they've tried to open up before and they were judged, because individuals don't understand the significance and the level of the pain that they see, because individuals don't value our youth as much as they should, as much as they proclaim, because individuals don't respect our youth, because individuals don't understand how much mental health matters. So tonight it's all about our youth. My youth are my babies, my bully busters. So with my bully busters, that if I got any bully busters out there tonight, and if you want to become a bully buster, go to empowermentessence.org, click on support, become a bully buster. And a bully buster is just a person, an individual, an organization, young, little, big, old, I don't care. It's just somebody that believes that bullying is not okay on any level. So tonight we are diving right into it. We got a special guest that's going to be joining us a little bit later on tonight, so stay tuned, because I wanted you to hear not just from us, though for the last 4 or 5 years now that I've dedicated my life and my purpose, God revealed that to me, is that I should be out here and making sure that individuals are living and not dying by suicide. I wanted our youth to make sure that they understood that there was somebody that understood their pain and their pressure. I wanted to make sure that as a suicide attempt survivor, that individuals really gave a light to what's happening within the mental health community, what's happening within our communities, especially within the Black communities about when it comes to mental health. Yeah. Mental health has been made to be scary, you know, when especially when they have the mass shootings and they say, well, and there's our guest, Miss Queen K is in the building. Hey, Kay. We're going to tell you a little bit more about our special guest because she can ready come give you a word that's just going to blow your mind. So you hang on, hang on. So we just wanted to make sure we reached out and we gave you some of the details, the things that was happening behind the scenes, and then give you some of those resources to help us push through. So tonight, one of the things that we're going to talk about, because you're going to hear from one of the youth directly, and I'm going to pull up her stuff because, see, when I had to look up Queen K, I said, you queening. You queening all day. She is queening all day. So I want to tell you a little bit about our special guest. We call our special guest Miss Queen K. Queen K, Micah, is a native.
McKay.
I'm sorry, McKay.
McKay, yes.
Miss McKay. I say Miss McKay. Y'all. So there we are live. We are official. Miss McKay. Mm-hmm. Thank you. See, this is why I told my queen sister over here, let's do this introduction, but I got the task tonight, but let's go. Miss Queen McKay is a native of New Jersey and the founder and CEO of K Collection, specializing in all things beautiful. McKay is a licensed and certified esthetician, and she aspires to be the first in her family to own and operate an all-Black spa, specializing in all beautiful things for Black women. That's just a little bit, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. McKay has a special place in her heart as she journeys and works with young Black women who are struggling to overcome depression, anxiety, because of her own personal struggles and the things that she's overcome. She is dedicated to bringing awareness to the community and her family and the village, because that's what we are. We are a village tonight.
Amen, amen.
Okay, and as a family empowerment and technical assistance at the Village Wrap Incorporated, she gives her passion back to her community. So without further ado, Queen K of K Collections. How are you, Queen? We can't hear you, Queen. Wait, let's get you. Let's unmute you so we can hear that beautiful voice. She gonna give me. Yes, yeah. There we go.
Okay. I was like, am I on? Can you hear me? Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Amazing, amazing. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Yes, and so first of all, my apologies for messing up your name. You know, we don't do this.
It's been happening since I started school. So at this point, I'm just like, somebody calls me Mike. I'm just like, I'm here. Yes, that's me. No, at this point, trying to correct people, it's like, it's really no point. But at least you got it right. K is fine.
Queen K. I'm gonna go with Queen K because I believe all my queens are queens. So K, tell us a little bit more about your journey and your cosmetic line and you taking care of that skin, because I see your skin over there glowing and you don't
look. It's trial and error. Okay, it was not like this. I've been dealing like with my skin, like bad skin, since I was in 5th grade. Like it's been years. But as far as like my journey, I will say I didn't really know what I wanted to do until I was like, I want to say 15. It specifically was a summer. I think we had just moved to our different county. I believe it was Gwinnett County we had just moved to. And we didn't really know anyone. The kids in the neighborhood, we didn't really know anyone like that. So like we were in the house or like we would just hang around like each other, like our siblings. So there was this one summer and my brothers had went outside. And I was sitting in my room and I just wanted to do something. Like I didn't want to go outside. I didn't want to hang out with people. I just wanted to do something. Like I wanted to just be productive. Like I just wanted something under my name. And I went in my mom's room, like while she like wasn't there. I went in her room and she had like tons of like magazines, like there were fashion magazines just of like everything, which was like beauty, fashion, school, arts and crafts, like all types of stuff. So I grabbed the magazine and I remember flipping through it and I came across this interview with this woman and in big caps it said, "Don't wait until you have enough money, start now."
That's good.
And I was like, I need to start now because I was like in the house. So I'm like, I don't have anything to do. Like, I can't do anything. And it's like, no, start now. You don't need money. You don't need to know anybody. You should start now. So then I took all of her magazines. I cut out all the pictures that represented what I wanted to do, which was be in fashion, do makeup, look nice, skincare. And I just cut it all out. And then I had this big, like, I want to say 3 feet poster. And it was I posted, I like glued all these pictures of like everything I wanted to do. And then every single day, like I just looked at it because I knew like one day I was going to do something. And then here I am, graduated cosmetology school, my own apartment, doing my makeup. So
wait a minute, let's back up a little bit. Wait a minute, let me back up a little bit. You threw that out there kind of fast. I want to make sure our fellow youth, because you're not considering myself a youth still too. Don't, okay.
Yes.
So, you said you finished cosmetology school.
Yes.
You got your own place.
Yes.
You have your own skincare, working on your own skincare line and working on your own spa for Black women.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even know you guys knew that, but yes, I am in the works of doing that. Mm-hmm.
So, Kay, and you said that skincare was a problem for you as a youth.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's talk about that. So how did that transition into what you're doing today? Did you experience any bullying as a youth?
Oh my goodness, did I? I really would not hang out with anyone because of my skin. It was genetic, but it also was a mixture of what I was doing. So my acne started when I was in 5th grade. So I was 10. I didn't know what it was. Like, I thought it was just like me growing up. Like, my skin was just breaking out. But over time, it just got like worse. And my self-esteem went down because when you go into places, when you go to school, when you go into grocery stores, people see your face before they see you. So they automatically assume that you're dirty. They automatically assume you're weird, or like, do you see that what's on your skin? And you're just coming out, like, out and about, just doing whatever. And so they judge your skin, unfortunately, before they judge you. And it was just very frustrating because to have people tell you what to do with your skin, and use this and use that, it's like, I wish it was that easy. I wish I could just use hand soap and my skin is clear. Like, it was very, very difficult. So it stopped me from hanging out with my friends. It stopped me from going to events in school. I was invited to tons of events, like, because of my academics. Like, I remember there was a time I had to go to like a field day for people who excelled.
Yes.
Yes, it was a time the people that were picked for the field day excelled in the arts, and I exceeded in the arts with everything. So I was invited and I didn't go, because I knew people were going to be there and I knew pictures were going to be taken, and my skin was just not there. So I just didn't go. And some people probably think, well, it's just skin, like it shouldn't make you do that, but it really does. Like, it really, really does. And when I see people like with problematic skin, or like it's breaking out, or they just don't know what to do with it, I feel it, because I literally went through it and I'm still going through it. My skin isn't perfect. It's still getting there, but it does play a part in how people look at you, or how they judge you, or they think you're dirty, or you don't take care of yourself. So yeah, it was a big, big obstacle for me.
I'm so glad you touched on that. And
yeah, and even too, like, McKay shared some of the, the challenges when it came to not just, feeling a certain way about your skin, but internalizing that, how she would internalize the feelings and projecting, and how did that, affect relationships with others.
And Kay, before you answer that, okay, so I want to make sure everybody is aware. We got secrets.
We got what?
We got secrets on this side.
Okay.
So y'all understand my beautiful queen sister over there, Angela C. Green. Angela C. Green Ministries. Make sure you follow them on Facebook. Do that right now. But this beautiful queen that's right below us, Queen Kay, that is Angela's beautiful daughter. So thank you, Angela, for blessing us 2 times with your presence.
I figured, I'm in a great mood. Yes, that's my offspring. I'm so proud of her. I just texted her and just told her she looks so. Yeah, my oldest. And I just texted her, letting her know. Well, she probably hasn't read it yet, but I was telling her how beautiful she looks, so.
This was rushed too, y'all, so.
And, we have to do that for our girls. And it doesn't seem like a chore to me, because she truly is a beautiful girl. She has so much to offer. And I'm just proud of her tonight, for stepping out of our comfort zone, because I know this is really big for her. And
super. This is the first time I've ever spoke out. Like, it'll be like little conversations here or there, but as far as like a actual like platform, this is my first time. So
Well, I'm excited. So we're gonna jump back into this. So, Angela, you were asking some questions about how how she internalized,
Yes.
some of the comments. And I want to take it a step further. So I want you to answer, how did that affect you? The things that were said to you, the way that you were treated in regard to internalizing those comments. And then I want you to talk to us about how many other youth do you think experienced? Because a lot of people would say, oh, bullying is not that bad for the youth. Some others believe me when I tell them it's horrific for our youth. Some people just don't understand. It's like, oh, it's not as bad as people make it seem. You were in school.
Yeah.
You graduated recently before me. I'm still a youth.
You'll get there. So internally, I think the first time that it really took a toll on me is when I noticed that I was kind of giving people their thoughts through me. So example is, if someone is talking to me or somebody was talking to me in school, I would think in my head, they're thinking, what's on her face? Oh my gosh, why does it look like that? Or does she know it's on her face? Oh my goodness, she looks like this. So they're talking to me, and it's like this whole time they're talking to me, I'm worried about my skin the whole time. So being in school, trying to focus, or like when you're trying to speak out, when everyone looks at you, the first thing I'm thinking is they're judging my skin. So it was hard for me to fully finish my sentences or stay focused or make friends correctly, because I always thought that my skin was something that they wouldn't want to be a part of. So it got to the point where I would only really hang out with one person. And if I only hung out with that one person, I didn't want them to bring other people around me, because it would just make me feel like I was a burden to them, or like they didn't want to be around me. So it caused me to isolate and not want to go out and have parties and not want to go to see people. So eventually that led in like to my depression. So that is when it really, really took a toll, like to the point I was so frustrated to where I was like angry with God, because why would you give me skin like this? And my personality is good, the things I want to do, how much I want friends, and you give me bad skin. That I'm not
it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. And I thank you for your vulnerability.
Yes.
Well, I thank you for that. And I talk a little bit about the bullying experience. You were bullied because of your skin. I was bullied because of my hair. I was bullied because of my size. So I was called bald Nucci. Okay. So while if they were talking about you and walking past you, they was looking dead at me saying, you bald headed. You ain't got no hair.
Yeah.
So forever, and I mean forever. I remember 2 of my bullies throwing me in a creek.
What?
And I remember how embarrassed I was. I remember my mom used to make my clothes because she couldn't afford to buy the designer clothes that other kids had. So when I got designer clothes, it was from my grandmother when I used to go visit and go back home. So I was bullied from hair because I had these braids. So Poetic Justice was out at the time, and I wanted to be Janet Jackson, have the box braids, and I asked for permission, and I was told no, and I did what I wanted to do anyway, and I got my hair braided, and it pulled my hair out. So I went from having my hair pulled out to having to wear a jerry curl, and actually it wasn't even a jerry curl, it was the wave new though. Okay. What? So you can imagine, Angie, you sitting there like, oh my God, I'm trying to tell you, so I was skinny, bald-headed to let them tell it, and ugly let them tell it, and I had these clothes my mama was making. Right. And I ain't even had an opportunity to see if my skin was really, really, really bad, because I was so stuck on my hair. So I became the weave master.
Yes.
So I was going to weave this thing. I was weaving and layering and weaving and gluing and patching and please give me some hair.
And you know what? It's important to understand too that with those different challenges, because I have my own bullying stories too, to talk about the fact that today, unfortunately, it's a little different than it was back when we were growing up, Shanetta, because bullying wasn't it was an issue, but it wasn't something that they paid attention to because they feared that it was going to affect the children long term. The way that our parents, or the way the old school generation would handle bullying would be like, look, get over it. Everybody goes through bullying, right? It wasn't made a big deal. It was really just something we had to get over. But today, long-term effects have shown us in studies, and just with the suicide has shown us that bullying is extremely abusive, and not just abusive, but mentally destroying. It can destroy your mental capacity to really think anything good about yourself. I mean, when I was in school, I didn't, my daughter said something years ago, and when she was like really angry at times because of her skin, and she would say things, that kind of like would make me think about anxiety, because sometimes she would say, Mom, you gave me anxiety, maybe the way that I would address her, maybe the way that I would talk to her. And when I think back to when I was growing up and the bullying that I experienced, it's almost as if because of your imperfections, you have this fear of, people, you have this, this awkwardness, or, the fear of socializing with others. And again, we get into social awkwardness. And when you think about social awkwardness and you think about bullying, they go hand in hand, because if you can think of bullying with people, like associate bullying with people, then of course you're going to be socially awkward because you don't want to be around people. So then you internalize that. And today we have more of that happening at such a higher rate, where kids are socially awkward, AKA anxious, because they are being bullied every day. And parents, unfortunately, today that are old school, our only remedy is like, deal with it or grow some tough skin. But now we have to actually bring this, all of what McKay is saying is so powerful, because we're connecting now depression to bullying to social awkwardness. And this is the conversation that as parents and as teachers, as leaders, we need to bring up, because it's dangerous. You'll have kids that will avoid school, avoid going to class, avoid doing anything that brings them into social environments. And then we have the repressed kids and the kids that are isolating themselves. They don't want to join anything, like what McKay said earlier. She wouldn't even go to an event that she was invited to. And this is so important, because we will say to a kid, why are you by yourself? Or why are you not wanting to participate?
The worst thing, the absolute worst thing ever. Like, not to interrupt you, but like that
go ahead.
The most, if I could say anything that really bothered me when I was going through like my anxiety, which I still like deal with, but my anxiety, my depression, my social awkwardness, was people that didn't understand and said, well, why don't you just do this? Well, why don't you? I used to hate that phrase so much, like really hate it. And hate is a big word, because that's really how I felt, because while they also don't know what's going on with my social awkwardness and my depression and my anxiety, they didn't have any type of remorse to say, well, let me address it differently, even though I don't understand it. It was always like a presence of like, well, why don't you just do this? Or like, they didn't understand it, and they weren't scared to express it. They didn't understand what I was going through. So those chain reactions of my anxiety to lead to depression and social awkwardness does go hand in hand, because when you're constantly thinking that someone doesn't want to be with you or talk to you, you isolate yourself. You don't want to be in the middle of the classroom. You want to go to the back of the desk. Or when the teachers would say, all right, everybody stand up and say what you like, it's like, no, I don't want to say what I like leave me alone. So kids will look at you weird, like it's just high school, and then they judged you off of that. Like, okay, she's sitting in the corner of the classroom, she's weird. And it's like, no, I'm not weird. I'm regular just like you. It's just certain things that I have to deal with that affect me. And it happens to so many people. Like, to this day, like I work right now, so I work at Amazon.
Thank you for making sure that whoever's on the Amazon team, thank y'all for making sure I get on my package.
Yes. Listen, the hours are crazy. Trust me, we try to make sure everybody gets what they need to get. But when you mentioned how many kids still deal with it today, or how many young teenagers or young adults deal with it today, it's still very prominent, because there will be people that come up to me at my job and say to me, like, your skin, it's like red, are you like breaking out? And today I don't even get angry about it anymore. Like, I'm just like, yeah, like, no, I'm not breaking out, it's just my skin is just, sensitive, so it's just red right now. And this was coming from a person who had like bad skin. I could see he had cystic acne. So he asked me, he said, I like have bad skin, like, do you know like what I can do? And I just really wanted to like break down and be like, if you really want me to tell you, like, I have to sit down with you, because it's not that easy. And I could tell it really affected him, because I noticed that he would sit like isolated, like he would be by himself. So I always try to talk to him, or I'll always try to get him engaged with me. Or if I'm talking to somebody, that he knows. I'll say, like, you know, do you want to like come talk with us? Or like I'll eat with him because I know how that feels. So I don't ever think that it's never not going to affect young adults and young teenagers ever. It's always going to be affectionate.
I love it. I'm gonna talked a little bit about, and I'm gonna take it a step further.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about people seeing your skin first before they saw you.
Mm-hmm.
And the tension with all the protests that are going on. So for our youth, not only are they seen because they are Black first, but now we are identifying and seeing each other because of the way that we look. So our skin, our hair, our clothes, our statuses, what we have and what others don't have. And so when I think about all of those different avenues in regard to why our youth are not going to school, so there are about 300,000 youth that miss school every year because of bullying. 300,000. 300,000 that miss school every year because of bullying. There are about 100 attempts of suicide and one successful suicide. That means a completed suicide. When you speak about suicides, we don't refer to them as a person that committed suicide because they didn't commit a crime. They were looking for a way to alleviate pain and wanted to alleviate a burden. So they didn't commit anything. They completed or they were successful at their suicide attempt. A little over 14% of students in high schools consider suicide. Okay, 14%. Those students are being bullied around 2 to 9 times out of a day. And they're in school for 8 to 9 hours a day. That's maybe a bullying incident every hour. That means from the time you walk into school, and you try to make it to your locker to get your books or get anything you need, that you got to dodge because you got to make it through the crowds first, right? Okay, they got to make it through the crowds to get to the locker, right? And then just tell me, just to make sure, you tell me if I'm going in the right direction. If I go in the wrong direction, you pull me back. So I got to make it. I got to get through the crowds and I got to make it to my locker, right? And I made it through the first thing that was thrown at my head. Or what are those? You know, the tip of shoes you had on the tip. What are those? You know,
I can relate to it all. Trust me.
A child said that to one of my girlfriends as adults, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, and I know she wanted to snatch that child. I said,
she should have. She should have.
You cannot. That's a baby. She said it ain't act like a baby.
Right.
And I thought all my things. But so they got to go through that. So they got to go through the clothes because they didn't have the clothes that everybody else has. They're not in. You know, they don't have on the Jordans. They don't have on them New Balance. They don't have the Uggs. They don't have the young ladies. They don't have the fresh weave.
Yes.
Everybody don't have the
part
that are laid.
Baby hairs, full lace.
They don't have the lashes. They don't have their lips popping. Their nails not off fleek. And then they're trying to make it through. So then you get to the classroom, Kay, and are some of your youth bullied by your teachers or administrators?
You know what? Youth and administrators egg it on. They do. They play favorites also. I've noticed that a lot of the kids that were comfortable with the bullying or were comfortable with calling kids out for their shoes or for what they were wearing or their hair, that was the teacher that was their favorite. Or they knew someone through somebody that the teacher knew, or they were related to them through family. So there was no type of boundary with them. It was like a free for all in terms of saying what they wanted. If they wanted to do something in the classroom, they were allowed to. And then you got to think about the favorite having friends. So the teacher automatically favorited her favorite's friends. So you really are one against a whole army of students who aren't going to get reprimanded. And if they do get reprimanded, it's going to come back to the school the next day. And then you're going to have more people that bully you because, oh, we found out that our favorite got in trouble. Our friend got in trouble because she was bullying you. So you get bullied. Okay, now I'm going to bully you some more. Or now I'm going to tell someone what you did. And then it's going to get through the whole school. And then now everyone knows. And then everyone knows you get bullied. And then now everyone is bullying. So it's pressured. Then it's even more social distancing. Then it's even more like it was just like a domino effect.
Tell them what happened, Kay. So after they go through that, and so now they find out that the child is not getting reprimanded. So now you got some kids, and I'm not sure if you run into any youth that have been in the schools cutting themselves.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you've been into any of the schools and you've seen some of the youth that stopped coming to school. I'm not sure if you've seen any of your fellow youth that became violent and started fighting because they were so scared that they got tired of getting beat or jumped on themselves, that they had to take another extreme measure to protect themselves to come to school. I don't know if you had any friends that were bullied at home, so home wasn't even a safety zone for them.
Right.
I had friends like that home wasn't a safety zone for them. You know, I've been into group homes. I've been into 3 or 4 different group homes in Maryland. Sasha Bruce, Second Mile, about 3 or 4 of them over here in Maryland. And it's interesting because broken youth attract other broken youth. And I made my broken youth my friends in the group homes. It's like we all connected. So it seems as though you said that you talked to the gentleman and he's asking you about your skin and what have you, and you talked to him. And it seems as though he felt comfortable asking you for help because he felt like you could relate. So how much different would it be if individuals took their blinders off and really started holding people accountable, like we're asking for them to hold the police officers accountable, and like they have all these different laws in place? How different could it be for our youth? How different could it have been for you if in school, while they were that type of behavior was happening, if an adult really took the position of an adult and took the position of being an example and supported you? What did you need that you did not get?
It would have made me feel like I was more than just a student, because I often felt like I was a number for them because I was in school. So they would go by the books. So if they did anything that had to do with reprimanding someone or taking it to a higher level, it was always done by the books. There was no type of like personal 101, or there was no type of, hey, do you think you want to get into counseling, or do you want to sit down with the other student? It was nothing that had to do with intimacy between the students or between me and the bullier or the aggressor, because they had to go by the books. They wanted to play it safe. They didn't want anything to come back to them. So the teachers would often get frustrated with me or the situation because they felt like I wanted more. So if something, an incident would happen, they would find me in their office again like 2 weeks later. And then it just got to a point where I was looked at as problematic. So the kids that tell, they're looked at as, oh, here she goes again, or oh, somebody else is bothering her again. And then the person that's bullying them, they just go like, okay, what's going on? Like, all right, just leave her alone. And then with me, it was like, you're annoying me, or you're frustrating me, or it's always something with you. That's how it felt. So then it's made you not want to tell. So instead of getting bullied and talking about it, you were getting bullied and going home and dealing with it. And then that turned into being suicidal. That's when it turned into getting rid of the burden, because you felt like you were a burden trying to talk about it. Every single time when I was in, I think it was maybe my freshman year, it was my freshman year because we were living in Clayton County. My freshman year, I remember every single time going on the bus, I was always crying because the whole day was just it was so much pressure. So when I got on that bus to go home, it was like it was finally coming off. Like for 8 hours, I was avoiding people. For 8 hours, I was making sure I didn't sit in front of the class. So it's like I couldn't just go throughout the day and just be a regular student. I had to pick and choose what I wanted to do. I had to move strategically. So it wasn't like I could just be a regular student in school. My school life wasn't regular. I didn't just join the cheerleading team or like the dance team and graduate and have friends and then have ceremonies. Like, it wasn't easy like that. So it's hard to try to relate with kids who have the regular high school life or the regular middle school life, because they didn't have to deal with getting on the bus, but also making sure that you didn't bump somebody, because then it would get loud and rowdy and then all the attention would be on you. So it was very, very difficult, extremely difficult. And to this day, that's why I do not like school whatsoever.
To this day, that I do not like school. Okay, I gotta say, Queen, I'm holding 1 second, Angie, because I gotta come to you because I got a question for you as mom. I just want to say thank you again for your vulnerability. I want to say thank you again for sharing, because without your voice, without more, you speaking out about the experiences, we don't have people that truly understand. So for instance, here in Maryland, we have Grace's Law, And then we have Grace's Law 2.0, because Grace's Law made it more difficult for parents to have to prove that the bullying incidents were happening. So they introduced Grace's Law 2 that didn't make it so difficult for them. So, and then that deals with the cyberbullying, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But I want to go to Angela for a moment, because Angela, as you're seeing your daughter go through this, so my daughter's 24. She didn't go through any bullying experiences in school. As you're seeing your daughter go through these experiences and hearing her today, what are your words, Queen? And how did you, so you can help another parent today that their child is going through this, but they see that you're going to come out on top and you can come out all right. Yes. But in the midst of it, Angie, I know you got a word for them.
Well, see, this is going to be very, very transparent and very complex, because what I was going to say, you know, it's so amazing how God is working with us, all three of us together, because the very thing I'm going to say was going to like literally be an answer to your question. When my daughter was experiencing this, I had no idea that she was going through that every single day, you know, to the extent of what she's saying today. Like today is the first moment that I'm hearing that my daughter would cry every single day on the bus coming home from school. So I'm trying to keep my composure, because as a mom,
you said word.
Listen,
they all pregnant now or in jail, so I don't even care no more.
Listen, as a mom, she already know what's good. She already know what would have happened. She can tell you what would have happened had I known that she was coming home every day on a bus crying due to bullying. Now, the thing about that is, which it brings up another, I guess, another piece for parents. Sometimes we miss it, parents. We miss depression. We miss fear. We miss the struggles that our kids are going through. And I'm not saying that it's, you know, intentional, or it's just because we're dismissive, but it is because we don't know what those signs are. Like a lot of us as parents, as providers, as grandmoms, as pop-pops or whatever, we don't know necessarily what to look for. In addition to that, if you are depressed, if you are bullied, if you are stressed, if you're battling with anxiety, and because I also dealt with it too, we are masters at covering it up. Yes. Mm-hmm. We are masters at pretending that everything is okay. Again, going back to what McKay said, I don't want to be a burden to anyone, and I don't want anyone to know how I'm feeling, because the way I'm received, it feels like I'm a burden. And that speaks to another level of ignorance in our leaders and in our teachers and our school administratives, because these are the things that they should be going and getting training about or on when they're serving our youth. You know, when you have a kid that's sitting in the back of the class all the time, or the back of the bus, or they have their hoodies on, or they're walking quickly, swiftly. As a teacher, that's why, honestly, to be honest, I wanted to be a teacher. And when I got to become a mother, and I had two sons that were special needs, I became a special ed advocate first. And as a special ed advocate, I saw the inner workings of the school system and was completely appalled. So then I became an enemy to the school system when I'm really trying to help the school system or the institution, because there are a lot of things that go unchecked, a lot of training, a lot of gaps in services that we have to provide our youth, because every child is different and every child handles depression and anxiety and stress differently. And sometimes you as a parent, as much as I saw my daughter every single day, I miss that. And so when you're thinking about depression, when you're thinking about anxiety, when you're thinking about your children, we have to be extremely sensitive about what's going on and having those real conversations. And we shared this, Shanetta, like 2 weeks ago, our first session, where we were saying to, who was it? Jonathan? Who was the first?
Jermaine and Aaron.
Jermaine and Aaron, and they talked about, like, we asked, like, what are those questions? What should we be asking our youth? And what does it look like? What does that conversation and dialogue look like? What buzzwords should we be looking for? And the behavior, and for me, parents too, when depression and anxiety is in the building, when it's in the atmosphere, we cannot get, our teenagers being teenagers mixed with crisis. Because there are teenagers that are going through crisis, And we will just chalk it up and say, oh, they're just being, you know, a teenager. Oh, they just don't like coming out of their room. Oh, they just like being to themselves. Oh, they just wear their headphones all the time. And honestly, that's just a way to cope with the depression. Mm-hmm. But guess what? Another thing, and I'm gonna stop in a minute. Another thing is, as parents, to be honest, maybe we don't want to face the fear of our kid really being truly depressed. You know, the real truth that our kid is struggling indirectly makes us feel inadequate. It makes us feel like maybe a poor parent, an irresponsible parent, a bad parent. And so maybe we don't want to face the fear that maybe I did something wrong to contribute, or maybe I'm the reason my kid is depressed. And again, that's all about awareness. That's all about conversation. That's all about transparency. Sometimes we can aid in our children remaining depressed and remaining in this struggle of, you know, being happy or not. So it's important to know that we have to face our fears just like our children. You know, as parents, it's like due diligence. You know, when we have these questions and we put it out like there, like when we put it out there and have these, you know, family meetings, my kids used to hate the family meetings, but they sometimes don't want to talk about those things that, you know, we honestly, are we really ready to face, you know?
Well, you asked a couple of questions, so I want to give a couple of answers, and it's going to be a little different for a lot of different people. So a lot of people say, well, and I say this to the parent that's right now, that's really concerned, and you're driving yourself crazy trying to figure out what did you do, or what could you have done differently, or what didn't you give. I ask you to stop beating yourself up, and I ask you to give yourself some grace. You gave your child what you could give your child based on the knowledge that you have. The purpose of us doing these 6-week series, The Why Mental Health Matters, is to give you information so you can better help your family and your community. There are a lot of things, and I'll take this back into the things that we're protesting about today: equality and seeing us. Mental health awareness was not something that was spoken about in the Black community. The reason that we have been trained, and we train our youth to be so strong and to get over it, as you said, Angie, oh, you bet have some thick skin, is because we've been told that we've had to have thick skin since the 1920s and before. We've been groomed to do such. So from our African-American women that have had their children snatched from their arms as babies, from our children that were killed and hurt as children as little as 8 and 9, even going to today with our youth that are dying by suicide as young as 5 and 6 and 7 years old. People are expecting us to carry pain and hurt and burdens and traumas and stigmas as if they don't matter to our lives, and they do. They hurt. And so I ask that you give yourself the opportunity to become more educated, because when you hear the word mental health, people immediately cringe sometimes.
Yes.
Like, oh, that's that crazy person. They depict it in movies. You know, I think I read an article about Disney. And if you think about any movie you ever watch, and Angie and Kay, let me know, if you think about the movies you watch and it ever dealt with somebody that had a mental illness, they were this crazy person, scary person, dark person. You didn't know what was going on. They could not be helped. They used to shock people. Like literally shock you if they thought you had a mental health illness. And they had to change the stigmas on that. They had to find a new way to be of assistance. So please stop beating yourself up. Some of the warning signs that I want to talk to you about is talking about suicide in general. Talking about feelings of hopelessness, talking about or pulling away from family or friends, writing songs or poems or letters about death, studying death. I mean, they're engrossed in death. I'm starting to give away treasured possessions, starting to push away from friends, withdrawing from activities, not eating, overeating, cutting, disappearing, running away, using drugs, speeding down highways, doing things that are very, very excited and thrill seekers. Those are some of the warning signs you may see. Children that are in schools that are being bullied, they may stop going to school. They may start acting out. They may start fighting. They may start becoming the aggressors because they're tired of people that have been aggressive towards them. Children that have been sexually abused and raped, they will be individuals that demonstrate bullying behavior because they feel as though it's a way to protect them and keep people from wanting to get close to them or even to come into their circle. So if I do this, then maybe I won't be raped today.
Yes.
Maybe I won't be beat today. So those are just some of the signs that you can look for within your own communities and children, youth, adults, but then take it a step further. If you see any of these signs, the biggest and the hardest thing that it has been for a person to do is to ask the question, are you thinking about killing yourself? What I've heard you say has me alarmed. Are you thinking about ending your life? When I attempted suicide, I wish somebody would have asked me that question, but I was good. I don't know about you, Kay, but when I was depressed, I wore a mask. Angie, I don't know about you, but I was good. My mask was good. I can go into any circle. You wouldn't know nothing was wrong. Excuse me. I was the turn
You
up.
have to.
I was the ghetto princess. I was at the parties. I was let's get it in. And I was a broken mess. And our youth are going through that today. So what can parents do to help? Okay, what's one thing that they could do to help?
If I can give any advice, it would be, I never really thought about it.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Hold on to that. If it's just think about what they did, what you feel as though your community did not give you, and how they could have supported you. Angie, one advice for the parents, because I know tonight it's Juneteenth. Y'all, happy Juneteenth again.
Yes,
happy Juneteenth. I'm getting ready to go out in March in a little bit. I'm excited.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm so excited.
Yes, I see the t-shirt. Okay.
Yes, I can't. But,
yes.
get it right. What's that advice, Angie?
Well, because I'm still learning and because I like to always be a student and remain in this place of humility, I'm taking all of this in. And I would think, honestly, as a parent, you said something that was powerful, which is, be kind to yourself, or just take this moment to, not be too hard on yourself. And I also would encourage parents to get enrolled in some type of mental health awareness type of training, or Moms Anonymous, something that brings parents together who also have had experiences with their children who have, not just committed suicide, but struggle with depression every single day, live with depression every single day. And suicide, as devastating as it is, because when my daughter talked to me at one point about it, when she said that, she thought about depression and she had cut herself, I was like, OMG. And so as terrifying as those moments are in your life as a parent, how can we better prepare for them? We got to face the fact that, guess what? Our child could be one of those children. Like, no matter what you do, no matter how much money you make, Mom, no matter how much you give your, kids, Dad, no how many vacations you have, no matter how many trips you have, your child is not exempt from being depressed, from having suicidal ideations, because it's an individual experience. And so parents, what you can do for yourself is love your children by getting educated.
There you go.
And because I'm big on education, like I like to know things. And because mental illness right now is a silent killer, like heart disease, amongst our Black children, our Black families, we have to take the initiative and be proactive and get our heads out of our butts thinking, like believing the story that Big Mom told us that, it's going to be all right. We'll make it. You'll get through it. That is not a coping, or that's not a good coping mechanism. And that's not strength-based. That's not proactive. That actually makes us suppress and makes us more oppressed as a people. So what do we have to do, Mom, Dad? Look, take the practical way. Go to school. Go get some training. Sit in someone's counseling. Sit in someone's, group, and talk about the things that you're afraid to talk about, which is, my kid is depressed. What do I do? What happened with your child? And how did you handle your baby? And, and especially talking about the therapy and counseling factor, because that's the other thing I'm going to throw at McKay is, how do you feel and how did you feel? And what does it make you feel like when, parents or, people suggest that counseling, therapy, get help, how can we make that easier for, the youth?
So I was actually just talking about this with my grandma.
Oh, wait a minute, before you start.
Yeah.
So guys, I'm going to be signing off in about 5 minutes. I have a existing
engagement. That's what that thing is called.
I have a pre-existing engagement and I totally forgot about it. But I'm gonna sign off in like 5 minutes. But I know that Shanetta and McKay are gonna hold it down.
Yes.
And I honestly think it's meant, I really believe it's divine intervention at work, because I know sometimes our children aren't as expressive as they would like.
Well, no, actually, no, I have to. So like everything that I've been saying, if you were here, it would still be like I'm saying.
That's so
those are mom moments.
So I'm glad that I'm able to step out, and I want my daughter to have this moment. I want her to feel free to speak, and that's like part of my that's part of my stilo and my mojo. I like to give my children the floor to speak, even if it's, Lord, not what I want to hear. So real quick, that's what I wanted to tell you. So if you don't see me, it's just because I have something else to do. But back to you, McKay.
Okay. But yeah, so I was just talking about this like maybe 2 weeks ago with my grandma. I was like, I just don't like the idea of knowing that I have to take medicine to feel normal.
Okay.
And she said that nobody is normal. It's just a feeling that you're not used to, or it's like a chemical imbalance. You are normal. It's just certain things have to be guided. Like you have to be guided. So I was just saying, like, having to take medicine or just knowing that I have to talk to somebody because of how I'm feeling, it just made me feel like I was crazy. So when you do have those movies of the villain that does have the mental problems, they look scary and they look like a monster and their hair is crazy. That's how it was, because my hair did look crazy when I was depressed. I was angry when I was depressed. Like it was the truth. So like when I did know that I had to take medicine or like go to counseling, it was just, I didn't want to do that. So then it really just made things worse. But when I did go, it was probably one of like the best decisions I had, because just knowing that someone's acknowledging how you're feeling, or just even if it's just a small like statement, like, I'm sorry that you have to go through that, or like, I'm sorry that this happened, or why did you feel like that? It's like someone is acknowledging how you feel and that it's not crazy and you don't look psycho and it's not something that's different and you are normal. So that's something counseling and just talking about it does help. So feeling like you're crazy or someone's going to judge you, no, sit at the desk, sit in that chair, talk to the lady or the woman, because they are there to help you. And if you don't feel like they're helping you enough, go to somebody else. You don't have to sit with someone because they're certified or they have their license and they're dressed nice. Some people really just do that to do their job. And then you have people that they're doing their job and this is something that they wouldn't trade anything in the world for. So when you find the right person to talk to, it's like you're talking to yourself, really. And that's how my counseling session was. It felt like I was talking to my reflection. So it was like, am I really saying this? This is how I really feel? Like, okay, so I do feel depressed because of this. It's not different. So going to any type of counseling or just acknowledging my feelings was a very, very, very big factor in like how I started to get better.
That is amazing. So a couple of things, and leave you a couple of tips. So suicide is still the third leading cause of death for our youth, ages 15 to 24, according to the CDC. And you hear about so many scientific methods that help individuals overcome. I'm certified in assist and, just helping people live and identifying, asking the question, learning the story, and getting one to safety for now, because ultimately that's our job as caregivers, is to get one to safety for now, because we can't guarantee anyone's life. I think that that's amazing. The counseling component is very, very beautiful, because a lot of people make mental health and counseling and help unattractive. So asking for help. So I can relate to you when you said my hair was a mess. I was angry. And some of the things and experiences that we have in life will leave us angry and pissed off and in a rage. And we have all these different reasons to be this way. But then when we have to get down to the root of them, because we have all these building blocks and it's building on top of each other, if we can never get to the root of the pain so that we can identify what that pain is and how to move it forward, and then identify what our true identity is, or realize that Some people are just negative and they're lying. They don't know my worth. And some people are just trying to destroy us. And it's been like that for so long. But the bullying, the neglect, the abandonment, all those things play on our mental health. When children are, spit on, or they're overlooked, or they're bullied by administrators, or they're bullied at home, those things play a difference on play a big effect on our mental health. What's happening right now, today, will play an effect on our mental health, and individuals need to decompress. We had a question from one of our panelists, and that was, how can we encourage our children to be more open about their feelings? Sometimes when parents actually do speak to their children about their feelings, they seem to be apprehensive in answering. So when I hear things like that, and when I ask parents ask, well, how do I get my child to open up? You have to develop that playing field. It's something that's developed. So I'm not talking about letting them speak about certain things based on what you want them to speak about, but you start to have conversations about everything, and just starting a general conversation. Pull a chair up beside your child, take your child out to dinner.
Yes.
Phones off for a minute, or even say, do a bet, whatever you got to do to get your child, to get them in a comfortable space. Go for a walk with your child. Go for riding a bike with your child. You're like, Shanetta, my child not going to be bothered with me. Yes, they will, if they feel as though it's genuine. And they may be apprehensive initially, because they're like, who are you and where'd you come from? Because you ain't never wanted to talk to me. So,
I want to say, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm going to say, unfortunately, at times that's not necessarily the case, because my daughter, my kids, we have always had these conversations. And what do I always say? What would I always say to you guys?
Yes, to talk to you about it. Or if there was anything that we needed, or anything that we wanted to talk about, or something that was bothering us, we did have that open stage just to say whatever. But also, it was also a mixture of when Shanetta said, who are you and where did you come from?
Yeah.
That is relatable, because it's like,
I'm trying to tell you.
Why are you? Why are I feel like my thoughts were taken out of my head, because there are times my mom was open. She did talk about that, but there was just that little thing that I didn't want to. So when you did mention where are you, where'd you come from, what made you think that you wanted to do that? Because when you get to that level, there are levels to the conversation, just regular conversation, things going on in school. Is there anything you need to do, anything this weekend you need to do? And then it gets to deeper stuff, is there anybody you like, what's going on in school?
Come on, take a man cave. Let's go deeper. Ma, I'm thinking about using these drugs. I'm gonna go sleep with this guy tonight. Or ma, I slept with this guy. Or ma, the girl said she was gonna give me head in the car. And what was I supposed to do? I'm talking about parents showing up and having the conversations you don't want to have.
Yeah. And unfortunately, as parents, we're not going to, and I think that was the flip side to that was, and this is for the parents, sometimes we're not going to be that. We're not going to be the go-to person, if that makes any sense. Because I think what happens is, as a parent, we start fighting with their lack of openness, and then it'll become a tug of war. So, and this is where I struggle too as a parent. I'm being honest, because I was that parent that was like, look, there's an open door. We have family meetings. Anybody got any questions, concerns? Anybody want to address?
Yeah. Anything? Oh my gosh, I remember.
And we would do this. We have meetings even today in this house today. We do this. This is just something that I do because my daddy was a mentor. I'm a mentor now. So it's just something embedded in me. So I want to be open and honest whenever I can be. And sometimes it can be a great thing that my kids knew that I was open and honest, and I wanted them to speak. But I had to also accept the fact that maybe mom and dad, you're not going to be that go-to person. And then I would get frustrated as a parent because I gave the open door, but you want to talk to your auntie? You want to talk to your this?
And then it's embarrassment. There's embarrassment.
Right.
So when I felt like if I told my mom that I didn't want her to feel bad because it wasn't her fault. So that was also the thing of the idea of being a burden, because I felt like if I did tell my mom, or if I did tell any of my teachers, I didn't want them to feel like oh my gosh, I didn't do enough. Why did I do this? Oh my gosh. And it's like, no, it's not you. I promise it's not you. So that's why anytime the opportunity was given, like, is there anything else that needs to be said? It's like, yes, but as far as you handling it, no. No. For me handling it, I'm going to have to do that. If anything, I started talking about it when I started to get better. If anything, when I started to take my medicine and go into counseling, that's when I was more open with it. It was worse because it was compressed within me. But once my mom started seeing my behavior change and how much I was fighting in school and how disrespectful I started getting, that's when it was like, okay, this is different. Okay, what's going on? And then that's when I got into saying what was bothering me and what was going on. And sometimes I would say it angry. And then I would just say, I want to kill myself. Or I'm being bullied. You don't want me to do this. Me not doing that or not wearing this to school. It's getting me bullied. And then everything came out through frustration. And it's like, wow. Okay, so now we're going to handle this. Because at this point, it's not because you don't want to listen. It's other things that you're stressing with. And then it causes you to lash out. It causes you to have a temper tantrum. So if I could give any advice.
Hold on, Queen. Go back and say that one more time for the parents. Say that one more time. Go back and say just what you said. Just one more. There's not. They have an attention tantrum. They doing what? Why they doing it, Kay?
Because they have other things they're stressing out with. Like I had other things I was stressing with. So it came out through frustration and lashing out because I was compressing everything. I was keeping everything in, and it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. You telling me to clean out one bowl in the sink.
So wait a minute, you mean to tell me as a teenager, Kay, you got pressure?
Yes.
You got stress, Kay?
Yes, as a teenager.
So your only job wasn't just to go to school and get an education?
No, nope.
It was, was that work within itself trying to get to school and overcome every day?
Yes, it is. Yes, it was. It absolutely was.
Parents, kings, queens, caregivers, I understand that it looks easy sometimes. And as stressed as you are about work and about the things that you have to deal with, please remember our youth are going through so much. Absolutely. They are trying to live up to your standards. They are trying to live up to their friends' standards. They are trying to find out who they are. They are trying to identify which direction they're going to go in. They are trying to find their purpose. And they're not going to get it right. Okay, we're not going to get everything right all the time.
No, we're not.
But you know what was so beautiful about not getting it right, okay? Yes. Let me tell you a secret. Adults, we don't get it right either. If they not going to tell you, I'm going to tell all our youth tonight, adults don't always get it right. And it's okay to not be okay. I just don't want you to not be okay alone. So if you are going through any type of crisis, and if you don't have to be suicidal to reach out for help, 1-800-273-TALK. Kay, in school, did they talk about suicidal prevention or tell you something in the signs?
Yes. They did it where they had like certain groups or certain organizations or nonprofit organizations or fundraisers would come in and they would talk to the students like on a broad spectrum, and then they would have like opportunities to have kids come and talk to certain counselors about what's going on or talk to their teachers. I never took advantage of it, unfortunately.
But why? Why didn't you? Tell them why. Tell them why you didn't take advantage of it.
Because I just didn't want to. It was the idea of people knowing what was going on in my head. And because it was so bad, I felt like people would know how I'm feeling now. And I felt like that was personal for me. So it felt like you have no business knowing what I'm going through right now. Whenever I want to tell you how I'm feeling, that's what I'm going to do. So I just feel so bad for the parents that feel like they let their kid down when they tell them that they're being bullied, because it's their choice. Like them not telling you, it had nothing to do with you not doing something right or guilt tripping yourself. It really was a choice of theirs. It was a choice of mine not to tell my mom, not to tell my parents, not to tell my friends. It was my choice. So when parents say, well, why ask my kid this, or I sat down with them and they just didn't tell me anything, because they just didn't. They didn't choose to. They didn't want to. So it's very, very tricky, because you can have all the opportunities in the world. You can be open with them, but sometimes they just won't tell you. And unfortunately, you find out because your kid is hanging in their closet, or you find out because you see cuts on their arm. And it's like, well, what did I do wrong? And it wasn't you. Sometimes people do get caught up in their thoughts so much they feel like no one can help them. There's no reason someone wants to help them. There's no reason that someone's going to help them. And that's when it gets deeper. And then sometimes it just never gets solved, or sometimes it just never is talked about. And there are times when it is talked about, like me. And I'm so glad that it was talked about, because I knew who I wanted to be. But my depression and my anxiety and my social awkwardness is like this little like splinter you just couldn't get out your hand. And it was just so bad for me. But when I was out of it, it was just like, I felt like I started a whole new life. So like the 10 years, I mean, not the 10 years, I want to say like maybe 7-8 years of me going through that. I felt like that those 7-8 years were lost, but it was also to build my character. So now, when I see people getting bullied, the last person I want to see it is me. I hope the last person anybody wants to see.
So you a bully buster, Kay? You a bully buster?
Yeah, I'm the bodyguard for everybody. You tell me if you're getting bullied, seriously, because I know what it feels like. Like I do know what it feels like. It's not a fun feeling. It really isn't.
And it's not a fun feeling. It's not something that people say sticks and stones. Whoever said this, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words would never hurt me, they lied. That was a bold-faced lie. I don't know who told them that. They should not tell any more kids that. Parents, don't tell your kids that ever again in life, because words do hurt, because words stick to you. And, you know, even the Bible tells us, it sticks. And you know how long it takes for you to get one negative comment, and it'll carry with you for so many years. I can remember, I'm still a youth. We'll stick with that. I'm a youth.
Yes.
But I remember things from being said to me as a teenager and as a child that I still remember like it was yesterday, today. I remember every one of my bullying incidents. I can see my bullies. And there was a gift. There was a book called, I'm sorry, not a book, but there was a movie called The Gift. And if you have not seen it, we in the house, watch it. It's a story of a gentleman that was bullied as a teenager and as a child. And as a grown man, all of that hurts, all of that pain he carried with him. And he got to give a gift to somebody, and it was his pain. Wow. And so when you hear people say a lot of times hurt people, well, broken people will, break another person. And a lot of times people that are demonstrating bullying behavior are individuals that have been bullied, individuals that are hurting themselves, individuals that don't see the worth and the value in someone else. Bullying is a behavior. It's something that is taught. And so what I say in regards to, if you write it down, bully, B-U-L-L-Y, bullying underestimates the life and legacy of you. They underestimate it. It tried to take power from you. It tried to take life from you. But one thing that I had to realize, and even going through the healing process and the recovery, and that's what we're going to get into next week when we get back into Just For Me Part 2, the solution. How do we overcome the bullying? How do we overcome the anxiety? How do we overcome pain? How do we overcome hurt? How do we overcome stigmas? And how do we do our part to make a difference for everybody today? Before we let everybody go this evening, tell us a little bit more about your skincare line that you're working on in K Collection.
Okay. So right now the K Collection is just like basically a brand name for other things that I'm going to do. So right now I'm wearing my lashes.
They look good.
Thank you. With the rush, I'm so kind of worried, did I do it right? Did I place it right? Is the glue tight?
Girl, you've seen it. You got it.
Thank you. So I have a lash line. So it's the K Collection, but this subcategory is K's Minks. So these are mink lashes. These are the these are the strawberry cream styles. So these are the mink lashes I have. And then I wanted to get into clothing, but it was just not fitting in with what I wanted to do. So then I turned to skincare, which is something, of course, that I've been dealing with for years. So I do have that experience and I do have that passion for it. So it's not just something I want to do for a quick dollar. It's something I really want to help people with because I know what it can lead to. It can lead to depression. It can lead to anxiety. So it's something that I hold very, very dear to my heart. So right now I'm going to get into doing facials. So I'm in the middle of trying to set up my whole like spa setup, which is the table and the furniture and the products. And then from then on, I do want to study like chemistry to actually start my skincare line and have it be set in stone, because that's something, of course, that I really do have a passion for. It wasn't something that I just thought about doing. It kind of maybe took a year of me thinking about it and knowing what I wanted to do, because I didn't just want to throw a business out there just to have somebody think I'm cool. It's something I really want to do. This is something that I want to live off of. This is something that I want to say, hey, yeah, I was bullied, I had anxiety, but I also have a $1 million business that's giving me money and that's making me feel good. Yeah.
Let's go.
It's something I definitely want to do for like the rest of my life without a question.
So how do they follow you, Kay?
You can follow me on Instagram at KAYALLENAA. You follow me on Instagram, I'll follow you back. If I miss it, just DM me, because I get followings and I just miss them, so I don't see it. But I will follow everybody back, because more than likely you're from this podcast. So yeah.
Okay, I just want to say thank you again. Thank you for sharing your voice. Thank you for giving everybody a different understanding of what's happening behind the scenes and what it's like from a youth perspective. I just declare blessings over you, increase over you.
Amen.
I thank God for the clarity and his purpose and his favor over your life. I thank everybody for joining us tonight. Bullying is real.
Absolutely.
Suicide is real. It knows no name, it knows no ethnicity, no race, no age. It takes no prisoners. But we as a community together can extend love and extend life and help individuals live and not die by suicide. So I thank you all for joining us tonight for the Why, Mental Health Just for Me, Part 1. And now we're going to get ready for next week. Mental Health Just for Me, Part 2. And Kay, so you came on here and you was all gleaming and beautiful tonight with that pretty skin girl. You was got that thing going. So next week, I got to bring it back. I got to follow it up with another amazing guest. So we're going to have Miss Black Maryland USA 2020 come and join us next week. Queen Elizabeth. Okay. So we got a whole, I know they got the Queen Elizabeth, but I got a whole new Queen Elizabeth that's really set.
Absolutely.
And she is a doctor. How about that?
Wow,
working in the mental health
amazing.
industry. So I am loving it. Our Black queens are doing amazing things. To my youth that are going through any type of bullying, I want you to know that you're not alone. If you are in the state of Maryland, Empowerment Essence, we advocate for you. We will come out. We will speak to your parents. We will help you fill out the bullying complaint form that everybody should have when you get back to school. Every guidance counselor has this in their office. You should be familiar with it. Everybody should have the Maryland Crisis Hotline number. You should also have the 1-800-273-TALK. There's a new text, so you can text 201, and I'll get the number for you. We'll put it on the Empowerment Essence page so you can text if you don't like to talk. But I want you to know that it's okay to not be okay, but I don't want you to be okay, not be okay alone. So I want you to reach out to us, empowermentessence.org. You can visit our website. We have tips for youth, how you become a lifeline to your friends, your family members, parents, how to start that conversation with your child that may be considering suicide. There was a story maybe 2 years ago where a young man, no, I want to say less than 2 years, so just a year ago, a young man told his father that he was suicidal, and his father pulled a gun out and told him to kill himself.
Yes,
his father was arrested. That broke my heart. I don't think that people really understand the courage it takes to ask for help.
Yes.
And my heart bled, and I cried, and I prayed, and I cried, and I prayed for so many of our youth that are going through, that are considering suicide. I know that moment feels like it's the end, and it has to stop. I understand your mind is banging and you have voices and you hear this and you hear that, and they tell you that you are nothing. You feel as though you can't get it right. Nobody is there for you. I want to tell you that it's a lie. That is the lie of the enemy. That is the lie of the grave. Your life matters. Your mental health matters. Your worth matters. You may not be able to see the diamond that you are. But sweetheart, I'm believing for you. I'm believing. I declare peace over your life. I declare ease over your life. I bind the spirit of suicide. I bind the spirit of depression. I bind the spirit of anxiety. And if you have to take your medication, please take it. Please take it, because there is nothing wrong with taking medication. There is nothing wrong with going to counseling. There's nothing wrong with not being okay. There's nothing wrong for asking for help. You matter to life. And I'm a suicide attempt survivor, and I'm sitting here, from the young lady that was bullied, from the young lady that was raped, from the young lady that was put out of school, from the young lady they said wasn't going to make it, from the young lady that was doing exotic dancing, to the young lady they said that you ain't got a chance. But God. And that's my message to you tonight. But God. You heard Kay. You heard our Queen Kay. She's overcoming. She's still overcoming. Healing is a lifelong process. Don't rush it. It doesn't look the same for anybody. The shadow for you is a monster to somebody else. So don't have sympathy, have empathy, and develop more understanding. One life saved is one life given. Kay, one more time, how can they follow you, Queen?
You can follow me on Instagram at Kayalena. It's KayAlleenaa. It's the same on Twitter if you want to follow me on that. I do not have a Facebook, but I am most active on Instagram, so you can follow me on there. Again, it doesn't happen overnight. Don't think because you see a counselor or you take your medicine that everything is done, because you will have certain days that you just go back to how you're feeling, or you just don't feel like anything is going to help. I kind of have my days where I just don't want to do anything, or I just feel like everything I'm doing it's not worth it, or I get this sense of, you were the same girl that you were bullied. What makes you think you can do this extravagant thing? What makes you think that it's over? But it is. Over time, it will be over. You are not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. They are merely thoughts. They are things that you think about. So please do not get hooked in your thoughts. Your mind is the most powerful thing aside from knowing who you are. If you continue to let your thoughts consume you, you will become your thoughts. Your thoughts come and go. If you think to yourself that you're going to have a great day, or you're going to help somebody, or you're going to work out, or you're going to make money, you're going to do it. You manifest it. But if you continue to tell yourself that you're not worth it, or you continue to believe that the things that people tell you, you'll eventually become your thoughts. And I'm here to tell you that you're not your thoughts. You are better than what people tell you. You are beautiful. You are smart. You do have the nicest clothes.
Yes.
You being broken got nothing to do with nothing. So everything that you want to be, you can be it. And I encourage everybody, if you do need any type of help, if you do feel like you need to speak out to somebody, this live is a perfect sign for you to get the help that you need to get. Talk to whoever you need to talk to, because there are people on the sideline waiting with open arms for you. So please, any type of help you need to get, please get it.
Amen. Okay, thank you, Queen, for joining us. Thank you to our audience for joining us. We went a little bit over tonight, but that's all right. I'm praying one life saved is one life given. And as long as the word has gone forth, I hope that you'll receive what you need, and we'll see you back next week at 7 p.m. Until then, one love. Happy Juneteenth.
Yes, go out and protest. Go out and protest.
Yes, let's go. Have an amazing evening, everybody. Stay tuned, empowermentessence.org. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clay.